Hello and welcome to the session on educational functions of the state and central government. Education can be defined as the knowledge and experience which a person acquired from his infancy, childhood, adolescence, youth, manhood and ultimately old age through any agency of education such as school, home, society, etc. In a broad sense, education means the process of development from infancy to maturity. Here, we are more concerned about formal education, which is consciously and deliberately planned for the purpose of training a child, which consists of direct schooling or tuition and the above. Since education is vital for the total development of a nation, the Government of India has taken special care to take roles to control the different functions of education. Role of Government of India in education is one of the major educational controversies of today. The nature of educational administration has been undergoing a radical change since independence. The sudden quantitative change and expansion of education in different levels has brought the educational administration face to face with the local community, posing new challenges. The state control and central control over education is much debated upon. There have been opinions that the state should not take control and interfere in the education of its citizens. Even Herbert Spencer had the same opinion and considered that national education should be given by private bodies. In a country like India, with a wide range of diversity in different aspects, the state-center relationship in education is very critical. At the same time, there have always been controversies as to who would do what. The Constitution of India has made certain provisions regarding the responsibilities of the state and the center on matters of education. It is clearly stated in the 7th schedule, list 3 of the Constitution about economic and social planning, which implies that the Government of India has a constitutional responsibility for the economic and social development of the country as a whole. This can further be connected to a well-known sociological principle that economic and social development is intimately connected with education. The Indian Constitution has provisions to ensure that state provides education to all its citizens. Under Article 42 of the Constitution, an amendment was added in 1976. Education in India has been added in the concurrent list, which means that both the state and the central government will perform the educational functions. The Government of India from April 1, 2010 implemented a law to provide free and compulsory education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14. This law is coming into force nearly 8 years after the Constitution was amended. Besides, India is signatory to a number of international covenants, that is Jomtien Declaration, United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child or UNCRC, Millennium Development Goals or MDG, Dhaka Declaration and SAARC, which is binding on its commitment for making education a reality for children. Constitutional provisions for education relating to the center and state in India. In the 7th schedule, Article 246 of the Indian Constitution, there is division of powers between center and the state. There are 3 lists of power: the union list, the state list and the concurrent list. The union list relates to the power of the central government, the state list relates to the power of the state and the concurrent list relates to the power of both the center and the state. Placing education in the concurrent list means that the central government has the dominating power. It is the center which shall determine the various policies related to education. It is the center which has the power to carry out uniform educational reforms, shall take steps for promoting national integration through education, provide effective leadership to the state, etc. The union list. This list contains 97 subjects where the following entries are related to education. Entry 13 relates to the power of the state to provide educational and cultural relations with foreign countries. Entry 62, this entry states that the institutions such as National Library, the Indian Museum, the Imperial War Museum, the Victoria Memorial, Indian War Memorial or any other such institutions will be financed by the Government of India wholly or in part and such institutions will be declared by the Parliament by the law to be an institutions of national importance. Entry 63 is a continuation of the previous entry in the Constitution and states that institutions such as the Banaras Hindu University, Aligarh Muslim University and Delhi University will also be declared by Parliament by law to be institutions of national importance. As per entry 64, the institution like IITs and IIMs will also be institutes of national importance according to the Constitution, and such scientific and technical education will be financed by the Government of India wholly or in part. Entry 65 states that the Union list under the power of the state government will have agencies and institutions which are related to the following: professional, vocational or technical training, including the training of police officers, the promotion of special studies or research, scientific or technical assistance in the investigation of detection of crime. Entry 66. The entry states that the state government will have the sole responsibility for the coordination and determination of standards in the institutions of higher education or research and scientific and technical institutions. State list. State list consists of 66 entries. Out of the 66, the following is the entry related to education. As per entry 12, all libraries, museums and other similar institutions controlled or financed by the state, ancient and historical monuments and records other than those declared by or under law made by the Parliament to be of the national importance. Concurrent list. It comprises 47 entries. Among them, the following are related to education. Entry 20 says that the issues related to economic and social planning will be the responsibility of both the central and the state. According to entry 25, both the central and state will have to take responsibility of power with respect to education, including technical education, medical education and universities, subject to provision of entries 63, 64, 65 and 66 in the Union list. Entry 34 maintains that the issues regarding newspapers, books and printing presses is also a part of the concurrent list where the power relates to central and state. Educational functions of the state government. Before the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution of India, education was a state subject. Entry 11 of the list 2 of the 7th schedule of the Constitution lays down that education including universities subject to the provision of entries 63, 64, 65 and 66 of list 1 and entry 25 of list 3 should be a state subject. The important responsibilities of the state with respect to education are the following. The first responsibility of the state is to provide elementary education to all citizens. Providing elementary education is essentially a responsibility of the state. The Constitution in its 86th Amendment Act 2002 inserted Article 21A to provide free and compulsory education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years as a fundamental right. During the third 5-year plan period, almost all states in India have been providing compulsory education to children in the age group of 6 to 11 years of age. In the fourth 5-year plan period, all the states in India were in a position to discharge this responsibility completely. The second responsibility of the state is to provide secondary and higher education. Higher education of all types such as liberal, scientific, technical and vocational are also provided by the state to train the citizens of India for careers in administration, industry, commerce, medicine, engineering and agriculture. Thirdly, the responsibility of the state is to open various schools and colleges. State has opened a number of higher secondary schools, technical institutes, industrial institutes, polytechnics, colleges and special schools for fine arts and for the education of handicapped. The fourth responsibility of the state is to establish state institutes of education. The Education Commission of 1964-66 recommended for the establishment of state institutes of education in all the states of India. The main functions of these institutes will be in service education of department officers, improvement of teachers in education and preparation of curriculum and textbooks. The other functions will include development of guidance, research and evaluation programs, and publication of periodicals on educational problems in modern Indian languages for the use of teachers. The next responsibility of the state is to provide adult and social education. The state has the responsibility of providing education to the illiterate adult citizens of the country to make them fit for democracy. For this purpose, the state maintains a well organized program of adult and social education. Sixthly, the state is expected to appoint teachers and supervisory staffs. The appointment of supervisors, inspectors and educational officers for regulating the activities of various institutions is carried out by the state. Seventh responsibility of the state is directing and controlling educational activities of the state. The state makes provisions and arrangements to control the educational institutions through different rules, regulations and administrative machineries. Eighthly, to open other training institutions is also a responsibility of the state. The state has taken special care to open various training schools and colleges for providing trained and efficient staff to educational institutions in India. Ninthly, to provide in-service training. The state arranges in-service training programs. The programs are in the form of seminars, meetings, conferences, workshops, refresher courses, summer orientation programs, etc. These programs can be organized by NCERT, SCERT, DIET, etc. It is also the responsibility of the state to provide financial aid to various educational institutions. The institutions that are run by private bodies, local bodies and different people are identified by the state in accordance with a set of rules and regulations. They are then provided with suitable aids and grants to run efficiently and effectively. Certain universities are also given financial aid if required. Another responsibility of the state is to frame curriculum and syllabus. The state has the duty of prescribing syllabus and course of study for various school classes and grades. Rules and regulations for admission, withdrawal and migration are also framed by the state. This is done so that there is coordination and uniformity in all the education institutions functioning across the state. The next responsibility is to hold examinations. Various levels of examinations are sometimes conducted by the state. Some states that do not conduct such examinations give directions to the examination bodies like school boards. Teacher training examinations at the school level like the junior basic training exams are also held by some states. The state education departments also award certificates to teachers who have undergone special orientation course at various institutes. Educational functions of the central government. Responsibility of the central government in the field of education has been very important, even though education has remained a state subject. The central government plays a major role in determining the various policies, plans, programs and priorities relating to education in India. Since the provisions for education needs more control, vigilance and guidance, Indian Education Commission enforces the decision to give some authority to the center. The central leadership, especially in the case of education, is essential for a vast country like India. The functions exclusively carried out by the center on education are the following. Firstly, to maintain uniformity in the standards of education in the whole country is a responsibility of the center. Improvement in the quality of education in both public sector as well as private sector is maintained through effective quality assessment systems with the objective of increased international compatibility and competitiveness. This is also done through introduction of major reforms at private universities like those introduced in public universities. Secondly, to lay down the general policies of education to be carried out by the state government. One of the principal roles of the central government is the formation of policies that the state government ought to implement. Another responsibility of the central government is to give guidance to the state government in carrying out these policies. After the formation of policies, the center supervises the same and coordinates them to give guidance to the state. Fourthly, to act as a coordinating agency. In order for the policies to be formulated and implemented in the right way, the center acts as a coordinator for the state. Next responsibility of the central government is to sponsor developmental programs. The Indian education system recognizes the role of education and thus comes with the implementation of developmental programs. The sixth responsibility of the central government is to collect and disseminate various ideas and information related to education. Existing provisions of the Constitution should be exploited for the development of education and evolution of a national educational policy. Central leadership for the states is essential for a vast country like India. Another responsibility of the central government is to level out the differences between different states and ensuring quality of opportunity. Here, the center takes the responsibility to equalize educational opportunities between different states also. It is also the responsibility of the central government to appoint commissions to take survey on all India educational problems. Recognizing the role and importance of education, all India commissions are deployed. For example, there is the Department of Education, Surveys and Data Processing, and there are survey officers appointed for carrying out certain projects. Next, to provide financial assistance to the less advanced states. While Government of India provides for free and compulsory education, there is additional cost to education for every state, such as examination fee, books, stationery, etc. To help ease the burden of financial costs to less advanced states, the central government provides aid. The central government had also introduced the Prime Minister's 15-point program for welfare of minorities, enhancing opportunities through improved access to school education and scholarships for meritorious students from minority communities of different states. It is the responsibility of the central government to provide financial assistance to the scholars from within and outside the country. Another responsibility of the central government is to maintain educational and cultural relations with other countries. The Indian Council for Cultural Relations, or ICCR, is an autonomous organization of the government established in 1950. The organization has an administration and education wing to cater to educational and cultural relations with other countries. The body also administers scholarship schemes for foreign students for studies in India. Other responsibilities of the central government are to stand a channel of communication with UNESCO, UNICEF and the World Bank, to start institutions of Indian importance, to recruit faculty for its own institutions, to send delegations abroad, to invite scholars from abroad, to carry out new experiments and research in the field of education, to start pilot projects in the field of education and to answer questions in the parliament regarding education. Joint functions of both center and state. The 42nd Amendment of the Indian Constitution has made provisions for concurrent functions in 1976, which means that both center and the state are responsible for certain provisions relating to education. In the book The Role of Government of India in Education, J.P. Naik mentions the concurrent functions of the center and the state as follows: technical education, scientific research, education of minorities, education of scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, education of the handicapped, university education, advanced professional and vocational training, education for emotional integration, promotion of educational research and the provision of free and compulsory education up to the age of 14. Many of the thinkers and educationalists agree with the inclusion of education in the concurrent list. In 1948-49, the University Education Commission stated that education should be the responsibility of both the sender and its constituents. The responsibility of sender will also cater to sectors like technological research, universalization of elementary education, equalization of educational opportunity, and improvement of educational standard. Advantages and disadvantages of the state taking control of education. Thinkers and politicians have always been debating upon the state control of education being desirable or not. If the state takes complete control over education, there are many advantages, such as there would be uniformity in the process of education, there would be uniformity in the standard of education, educational institutions would be free from economic difficulties if state would be ready to provide subsidy, education would be free from local struggles and quarrels, teachers in the educational institutions might develop a feeling of security when state takes the control of education, state control over education will help preserve national culture, etc. Many educationalists are in favor of increasing the authority of the state for many reasons. They feel that if the sender has supreme powers, the state would loosen their initiative for educational developments in their region. Not every state will tolerate the interference of the sender in their affairs. The people in favor of this argue that state would be losing their initiative in raising resources for implementation of various educational programs if education becomes a central or concurrent subject. In a democratic state like India, the state should have greater autonomy in implementing its own developmental programs is yet another argument. There are disadvantages of this system also. They are the following. India being a democratic country, education can become a powerful instrument in the hands of the ruling party. The aim of education can become narrow if the state would declare a policy of its own regarding education. Advantages of placing education in the concurrent list. Educationalists who support placing education in the concurrent list do so because they feel that for a uniform educational policy and national system of education, it would always be better if the sender provides effective leadership to the states. This also helps in minimizing the regional imbalance in educational development, which is possible if education is placed in the state control. The sender will have more responsibility in providing equalization of educational opportunities and creation of egalitarian society. According to the support, unless the sender has the adequate authority, it is difficult to implement the national policies, priorities and programs relating to education. They also feel that the resources of the state are too meagre to provide for development of education in the desired directions, whereas the resources of the center is so vast and it can help in raising adequate funds required for educational developments. Last and not the least, they say that the role of the center is very vital for promoting national integration through education. Let us summarize what we have discussed so far. Role of government of India in education is one of the major educational controversies of today. The sudden quantitative change and expansion of education in different levels has brought the educational administration face to face with local community, posing new challenges. The state control and center control over education is much debated upon. In a country like India with a wide range of diversity in different aspects, the state-center relationship in education is very critical. At the same time, there have always been controversies as to who would do that. Under Article 42 of the Constitution, an amendment was added during 1976. Education in India has been added in the concurrent list, which means that both the state and the central government will perform the educational functions. In the 7th schedule, Article 246 of the Indian Constitution, there is a division of powers between center and the state. The session clearly states the educational functions of the central government and that of the state government. Furthermore, the joint functions of both the center and the state are also discussed. Now, you can try to answer the following questions. Which are the educational provisions relating to education in the Constitution of India? What are the educational functions of the state government? What are the educational functions of the central government? What are the joint functions of both center and state related to education in India? What are the advantages and disadvantages which the state take control over education in a country like India? Now, you may go through the reference books given here. Foundations of Education by O.P. Dhimman, published by A. Peach Publishing, New Delhi in the year 2008. Education in India, Problems and Perspectives by M. Dash, published by Atlantic Publishers and Distributors, New Delhi in the year 2004. The Role of Government of India in Education by J. P. Naik, published by Ministry of Education, India. Thank you for watching the program. We can meet again with another topic soon. Till then, take care.